Far over the misty mountains go. My voice is nearly not deep enough to sing that song and do that song justice. Oh, misty eye of the mountain below. That I can do, but I have to wait till the next film. So today's movie commentary is going to be on The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey, a film I really like, and I will explain my reasons throughout the commentary. But in this commentary, I just want to preface the fact that this is just going to be kind of casual, kind of fun, just me expressing why I love this film so much. Because look, I'm going to say this now, if you're looking for a video that goes in depth on the troubled production history of the Hobbit trilogy, you're not going to find it here. This is just going to be fun, me talking about why I love it and stuff. If you're looking for that, other YouTube channels have done it better, and they probably would do it better than I would anyways. Lindsay Ellis' video is fantastic. Mr. Sunday Movies videos on the Hobbit trilogy for their Caravan of Garbage segment also does that troubled production history stuff justice. This is just going to be me expressing why I like a lot of the things in the Hobbit trilogy and why I dislike a lot of things, and why in many ways it kind of pales in comparison to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But also, I just want to preface, I love this film. I think The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey is fantastic, and I hold it in the same limelight as The Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and Return of the King. And unpopular opinion, this might get me killed or something, but I like this film more than The Two Towers. Sue me, shoot me, I don't care, I will die on this hill. I love this film. The thing is about the Hobbit trilogy is that it was almost perfect, purely for the fact that on paper, when Peter Jackson conceived this after taking over Guillermo del Toro, he went, okay, we're going to do the Hobbit in 2 films. And then for some weird reason, I'm assuming it's studio mandate because they wanted more money, they turned the Hobbit duology into a trilogy, and it just ruins the whole thing. The films get progressively worse, and as we go through the trilogy, I will point out the things that I really dislike. And in many ways, part of it is Peter Jackson's direction that is to blame, because Desolation of Smaug does not need to be nearly as long as it is. Same with Battle of the Five Armies. But again, when it comes to An Unexpected Journey, it's easily the strongest out of the trilogy, and I still think it is better than The Two Towers. Not saying that I don't love The Two Towers, but I mean, I just like this film more. Maybe it's because of the sensibilities and the fact that it covers the more, like, whimsy aspects of the books. I don't know. I just love this film more than Two Towers. Also, before we get into the commentary, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. Also, follow me on Instagram. It's all down in the description. So, without further ado, let's get into The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey. The Hobbit theme! Oh, we're back! We're back, baby! Oh, man. Every time I hear it in An Unexpected Journey and Desolation of Smaug, I don't think it plays in Battle of the Five Armies. But when I hear this theme play, got a little bit of a teary-eyed situation going on, the nostalgia. It's wonderful. It's so comforting. It really is Peter Jackson and Howard Shore just going, we're back in Middle-earth, baby. Here we go.
My dear Frodo, you asked me once if I had told you everything there was to know about my adventures.
Bilbo! Look, Ian Holm does not look nearly the same as he does in Fellowship of the Ring. His wig especially is so off. But it's Bilbo! It's so good. Also, yes, let's point out the fact that the Hobbit trilogy was shot on digital. They shot it on the Red Dragon or something. They shot it on a really advanced new digital cinema camera, and you can kind of tell the color grading and the overall look of the Hobbit trilogy is not nearly as beautiful looking as Andrew Lesnie's work in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But when it comes to An Unexpected Journey, I think for the most part, it looks nice. There are some bits where the overcompensation for the blooming and the film halation and such, doing the digital emulation to make it look more like film, it goes a bit too far, and there's this weird kind of like gloss and sheen to the film. But when we get interiors of Bag End and such, it looks really nice. Also, a thing I can't comment on is the 48 frames per second. When these films released, they were apparently also simultaneously released in 24 frames per second and also 48 frames per second. I can't comment on that. I never watched the 48 frames per second version. I've seen the 48 frames per second trailer on YouTube, and it just looks weird, like everything's in like fast forward and stuff. It doesn't look good. I'm really glad this fad has kind of died out, because it doesn't work. It doesn't look good, and just, yeah, I'm kind of glad that I saw this film without that effect, because just, I feel like for the most part, the reason why these films also aren't as well renowned or beloved as the Lord of the Rings trilogy is because of that. It's the fact that it's shot digitally, it's shot in a format that it wasn't supposed to be in 48 frames per second, I don't know what Jackson was doing there. I think all the exposition regarding Smaug and Erebor and Dale and Smaug attacking Dale and taking over Erebor, I think it's all done really effectively and really nicely because, again, Bilbo is telling us the story. In many ways, it feels like Galadriel's introduction to Fellowship of the Ring with, like, a little bit less atmosphere because with Lord of the Rings, it's like, oh my god, world-ending stakes. But in The Hobbit, it's just, yeah, a dragon attacked a mountain and took over and basically destroyed, like, the overall culture of Erebor and Dale. But Ian Holm's narration really sells it. All the imagery on screen, like Thorin and the Arkenstone and Thranduil and the beef between Thorin and Thranduil and the origin of that, it works. I think it's done really effectively. Like, when people say exposition is bad in film, I think for the most part it can be when either the dialogue is very underwritten and very plain and very simple and direct. But I also do find that when you have a narrator with a really well-written script, like, for example, this film here with Ian Holm and the script done by Philippa Boyens, Fran Walsh, Peter Jackson and company, like, it fits. It feels right. The Hobbit is also a children's book, so it kind of makes sense that you would open off with a little bit of exposition.
Well, it began as you might expect, in a hole in the ground. There lived a hobbit.
Okay, first off, well, it's the opening line to the book, but also, it's just delivered so well done. The way Jackson and Howard Shore incorporate the Hobbit theme as Bilbo says it, it's just, it's wonderful. It's so good. It's so lovely. It really captures the tone of the more whimsical nature of the Hobbit book. Like, it just feels right. This is brilliant. Like, this is so good. Like, I'm telling you, if this was a duology and not a trilogy as originally planned, it would have been perfect.
I'm off. Off to where? East Farthing Woods. I'm going to surprise him.
Is the Elijah Wood Frodo cameo needed? No, but I welcome it because it's Frodo, it's Elijah Wood. Like, yes, there is a bit of nostalgia rose-tinted goggles looking at it, but I'll allow it. It works perfectly fine in the film. Though, a thing that does confuse me is that this technically doesn't line up with the extended edition unless Peter Jackson is playing it like Bilbo's got Alzheimer's or something. Because Frodo tells Bilbo, okay, I'm going to go surprise Gandalf in East Farthing Woods. But then when you watch the extended edition, Bilbo has no idea where Frodo is. So it's kind of like, did they mess up, or are they just trying to play the fact that Bilbo's old? I'm going to say this now. Martin Freeman is pitch perfect casting for Bilbo Baggins, and he is phenomenal. He is the best part of this trilogy. He is so wonderful. He is just the best. And the thing is, too, let's speak about Bilbo Baggins as a character. Bilbo Baggins is the Hobbit, okay? Samwise Gamgee is a legend and is technically the hero of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But when you think of the Hobbit, if someone asks the question of who is the best Hobbit, it's Bilbo Baggins. Bilbo Baggins is a legend. And if I say Bilbo Baggins is a legend, then a legend he is.
Good morning.
What do you mean? Do you mean to wish me a good morning, or do you mean that it is a good morning whether I want it or not?
Okay, when you look at this scene here, this is what I mean by how the blooming effect is too much. There's something about the digital blooming that feels off, and it's very apparent, and in many ways you just go, oh, this isn't filmic. What's going on here? What's with all the weird, like, aberration, and why is it so kind of, like, soft, but, like, not aesthetically soft? What's going on here?
Or perhaps you mean to say that you feel good on this particular morning. Or are you simply stating that this is a morning to be good on?
The good morning scene is lifted directly from the book, and it is pitch perfect. Perfectly performed, perfectly directed. It's great. I love this scene. This scene just proves that if Jackson just stuck to his duology and was not told to extend out the trilogy, and they just did the things from the book, then the Hobbit films would have been perfect, honestly. This would have just been one of the best book to film adaptations. It would have been in the same caliber as the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Granted, the subject matter is different, but still. You get what I'm trying to say, right? Like, these, as, like, actual films, would just be amazing.
Well, you know my name, although you don't remember I belong to it. I'm Gandalf.
Gandalf means me.
What? No, wait. We do not want any adventures here. Thank you. Not today.
God, Martin Freeman is just pitch perfect in this film. His comedic timing, his facial expressions, impeccable.
Dwalin, at your service.
Hey, Dwalin the goat. Him and Balin are just like my favorite dwarves. Him and Biffa, both, whichever one James Nesbitt plays. Those are the goats. He's also Dijkstra in Netflix's The Witcher and also Harold Hightower, Westerling. He's the Kingsguard guy in House of the Dragon.
Evening, brother.
Balin the goat.
Feely and Keely, at your service.
Did they prettify Feely and Keely? Yeah, but I feel like you kind of have to. You can't just have like a cast of just like middle-aged men just like chilling. I don't know. I don't mind the change of making them young and sexy. My issue is just that when you get into Desolation of Smaug and Battle of the Five Armies, the Keely and Tauriel and Legolas love triangle is just... What were they thinking? But honestly, this sequence of all the dwarves arriving at Bag End is like not only capturing the spirit of the book perfectly, just the comedic timing, Jackson's direction of the whole thing, it's so good, it's so fun, it's so just... I love it.
Oh, no.
No, there's nobody home! Go away and bother somebody else!
Also, just look at the way the camera moves. This is done by a director. This film feels like a film. It may not have been shot on film, but it feels like cinema. Jackson's direction is just... It's still alive here. He's still putting in effort. He still has a vision for this story. It is genuinely a shame that he's kind of like retired from filmmaking, or at least directing, because the man had source. The man had vision. I honestly hate what this trilogy did to him.
Can you not do that? You'll blunt them!
Ooh, you're that lads. He says we'll blunt the knives, bend the forks, smash the bottles and burn the corks, chip the glasses and crack the plates. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. Leave the bones on the bench. I remember at the time when reviews for this film were coming out, they're all like, oh, there's too much singing and the dwarves are annoying, you can cut that out. No, what are you talking about? That's the book. That's the magic. That's the charm. Why would you cut this? This is so fun. I have no clue why people like get rid of these scenes. No, this is perfect. This is what you want from a Hobbit adaptation.
Gandalf.
Richard Armitage's Thorin Oakenshield is really cool. I do like that they kind of like Aragornified him, even though in the books he's like this kind of like old, kind of silly, bumbling dwarf, just like, I need to retake Erebor. I don't mind that they made him more Aragorn-like. I think it's perfectly fine and it fits within Jackson's vision. It's also kind of a shame too. I don't know what Richard Armitage is up to these days, because I think he's a fantastic actor. He's really good in these movies, and I know during the 2010s he had like a little bit of a career in Hollywood, but I don't know, he's kind of disappeared and I'd like to see him in more things.
Gandalf will have killed hundreds of dragons in his time.
Oh, well, no,
Well, how many dragons have you killed?
Go on, give us a number.
Do you know what? People harp on about the dwarves and how they don't have a lot to do in the films. I still say that the dwarves' like chemistry and banter is really well done, even though they don't get much screen time. I enjoy it whenever they bicker amongst themselves, or like they work together, or they do some stuff within the blocking where they're helping out one another. It's really good.
enough if I say Bilbo Baggins is a burglar and a burglar he is.
Enough if I say Bilbo Baggins is a burglar and a burglar he is. God bless you, Ian McKellen. Sir Ian McKellen. Impeccable performance as Gandalf, as usual. It does also kind of break my heart that when you watch the behind the scenes, Ian McKellen isn't even in the same room as these guys. Like, what happened to filmmaking, man? What happened to all the forced perspective stuff they did in Fellowship? Like, why is it not utilized here? And I get why he was depressed when he filmed this scene, why he was so sad and kind of like cried and had like a little bit of a mini breakdown. I get it.
The world is not in your books and maps. It's out there.
I can't just go running off into the blue. I am a Baggins of Bag End.
I love this conversation between Gandalf and Bilbo, all about how Bilbo's ancestors were adventurers and how as a kid he was very adventurous, but now as like a middle-aged man he's all kind of like grumpy and he's a closeted man. He always like shelters himself at home and stuff, and he's not wide-eyed anymore. I just love what Tolkien was trying to say with The Hobbit. It's the idea of go experience life, go on adventures, keep going. No matter how old you get, stay wide-eyed, because otherwise then you just become grumpy and miserable. Also, the story about the origin of golf being a goblin head falling into a rabbit hole and such, that's all from the book, though in the book Tolkien plays it straight and goes, yeah, that is how golf was invented in Middle-earth. But here, they make it a joke, I think.
Can you promise that I will come back?
No. And if you do, you will not be the same.
I love it. I love Jackson's, like, seriousness. Like, he treats the material with reverence, but there's also that comedic spin, like it's still for kids.
Far over the misty mountains cold and caverns old.
I cannot sing this song, my voice is not like...
We must away forgotten go.
cold. Yeah, my voice is saying, no, I cannot sing this song. Far over the misty mountains cold.
Hello?
Again, Martin Freeman's physical acting, his comedic timing is brilliant. He's so good. Like, when I say pitch perfect casting for Bilbo Baggins, I mean it.
I'm going on an adventure!
Wonderful. It is genuinely wonderful. Jackson and company really captured the spirit of the book in this film.
What on earth is the matter?
I've forgotten my handkerchief. Use this.
All the banter with Bilbo and the Dwarves is fantastic. Stop, I forgot my handkerchief, and they give him this, like, dirty alright. I love it. It's great. That is what I think is the real magic of the Hobbit trilogy. Like, you don't get it throughout all the films. Like, in Battle of the Five Armies, you kind of, like, lose it a bit. But the chemistry between Bilbo and the Dwarves is there, at least in the first two films.
You have to manage without pocket handkerchiefs.
Okay, do you know what's the biggest crime of the Hobbit trilogy? The fact that after an unexpected journey, they got rid of the Misty Mountains theme as the main theme for, you know, the Dwarves and Bilbo and, like, their epic adventure quest. Why did they do that? I have no clue why. This was akin to their Fellowship of the Ring theme. I don't know why they got rid of it. It is ridiculous. Like, not only is the melody, like, beautiful, but also that's the theme. That's the theme for the trilogy. And they got rid of it. What? Bum, 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 bum. Why did they get rid of it? I have no clue. I don't know whose idea this was, but it was stupid.
Led by the most vile of all their race, Azog, the Defiler.
Okay, so Azog the Defiler, CGI, not great. Design-wise, he's alright, though he looks like a farmer from Skyrim. He looks more like a goblin than, say, an orc, but also, what is the point of Azog in this film? Why is it Azog? Why is Azog in this trilogy? Azog, the character, should be Bolg. Bolg is Azog's son trying to avenge Azog from Thorin, so why is Azog, the character, still alive? And why is he, like, the main antagonist of the trilogy? It should just be Bolg. Not to mention the fact that Azog and Bolg look nothing alike, and it's like, what's going on here? Like, you can easily streamline this by just having Azog die in the flashback, and then Bolg is Azog in this film. I don't get it. What is the point? Why is he in Desolation of Smaug? Like, Azog isn't even in the books. He's mentioned in, like, one line. Why not just make Azog Bolg? What were you doing here, Jackson? I don't get it.
His armor rent, wielding nothing but an oaken branch as a shield.
Okay, so the thing I have with the CGI in the Moria fight is that the CGI isn't great, but the actual photography and composition of the imagery is really good. Like, there's just something about Azog that looks really clean, and then you cut to the shots of Thorin, and he looks real, he looks tangible. The CGI background isn't helping either. It's kind of a contradiction. Like, the scene looks good, but it's got too much CGI all over it. Like, all the live action stuff looks great. It's just the CGI that is holding the scene back. There's something about the way the CGI has been composited into the imagery. It doesn't work. Like, you look at the Lord of the Rings trilogy, there is some dodgy compositing effects. But again, time has passed on and such. But then, there's something about it that fits, and I don't know if that missing link is the fact that the Lord of the Rings was shot on film compared to the Hobbit trilogy. It might just be the digital cleanliness. I don't know. But the whole Azog-Thorin backstory is awesome. Like, Thorin's final standing as Azog is really cool. Just, why is Azog alive? Just have Bolg be in the battle and be like, I'll get revenge on you, Thorin, or whatever the hell. And then, like, you know, Bolg is now the antagonist for the trilogy. Why is it Azog? It doesn't make any sense.
There is one I could call king.
Hey, Balin, I could call Thorin Oakenshield my king. I think that's something I do really like about the trilogy, is how they do emphasize Thorin's kingliness, his royalty. You do feel the majesty of Thorin Oakenshield. Compared to in the books, where it's kind of like, yeah, he's like the main leader of the group, but like, he's also kind of like an old man, and he's kind of like silly and bumbling about. I do like how they ground Thorin a bit, and they make him more regal and more majestic. Sebastian. Okay, so the stuff with Radagast, I don't hate it, but I do feel like it does drag out the film for a bit too long, and it's like, we don't need all of this. Like, we kind of get Radagast's whole shtick. Like, you don't have to go like into a full-on backstory with him and his, hedgehog. What's his name again? Like Sebastian or something.
Mutton yesterday. Mutton today.
Mutton yesterday. Mutton today. The trolls. This whole sequence is perfect. It's fantastic. The comedy, the action. Granted, the CGI is not like incredible on the trolls, but I love it. It's great. It just has the feel of the book. This is what you want from a Hobbit adaptation. Not only does this play for kids, but it also appeals to adults that love the Lord of the Rings film trilogy. Like, Jackson was the right guy to adapt The Hobbit. The problem is that they split the duology into a 3-film saga, and it doesn't make any sense.
Drop him! You what?
I said, drop him.
Again, the Misty Mountains theme as the dwarves call to action, their little action battle theme, it's incredible. It's awesome. Whose idea was it to get rid of it throughout the rest of the trilogy? What an idiot. I'm joking when I say that because it probably was Peter Jackson's decision, but like, come on. It's so good. Why would you get rid of it?
Lay down your arms, or we'll whip his off.
They're infected, they have parasites, they've got worms in their tubes.
I've got parasites as big as my arm.
One of the biggest parasites. I've got huge parasites.
Honestly, the comedy of this film is so good. Jackson was the right guy to adapt it. His sensibilities, it just works.
The dawn will take you all.
The dawn will take you all! I love the continuity of Fellowship of the Ring, like the dwarves end up in their exact same positions as in Fellowship. I think that's really neat.
These are forged in Gondolin.
Hey, it's Glamdring and Orcrist. Glamdring is a beautiful sword, I've always loved it, but Orcrist is a phenomenally designed sword. I love the single edge to it. It's so nice. These swords are just mwah! This is Sting. You've seen it before, haven't you? Gollum. I don't know why, this shot of Bilbo pulling out Sting is also just really iconic to me. So, the Dol Guldur stuff I think is a perfectly fine subplot to set up. I don't mind it in this film either. And it works perfectly fine in Desolation and Smaug. I just think the way it culminates in the Battle of Five Armies isn't very satisfying. Oh goodness gracious, now I want some old Toby. Okay, so during this orc attack, the orcs are surrounding the dwarves and such, they're chasing after the wargs, but why is Bilbo's sword, why is Sting not blue? Visual effects error. Bad visual effects and continuity error. Bad! I just hurt my... Ow, my ring just hit my knuckle. So the thing I like about Rivendell in this film is that it doesn't come off as like a key jangling, hey, do you remember Rivendell thing? Because that's what happens in the book. They go to Rivendell in the book, so it doesn't feel like, hey, do you remember Fellowship of the Ring? No, it's just like how it happens. For me, it works. Like, there's a nice comforting feeling when you see Rivendell and you're like, hey, it's Rivendell. They're just chilling with Elrond and stuff like they do in the book. It's great. Okay, a key jangling moment though is Azog and Weathertop. Like, why is he there? What is the point? Okay, is it me or is Cate Blanchett even more beautiful in the Hobbit films than she was in the Lord of the Rings trilogy? Like, she's beautiful in both, but there's something about her in the Hobbit trilogy that's just... it's making me move. I don't know.
You've been busy of late, my friend.
Also, Saruman's inclusion in the White Council, it works perfectly fine. I mean, not only is it them setting up his dark turn in The Lord of the Rings, but it is also nice seeing Christopher Lee work with Peter Jackson again after the controversy of him cutting out Saruman's death in the theatrical cut of the films. Like, I don't get why they cut that out of the theatrical cut of the films, but even still, it's nice to see that they were back on, like, working terms, and it's great to see Saruman in the trilogy.
Why, Bilbo Baggins? Perhaps it is because I'm afraid. It gives me courage.
It's just... I love that. I love this exchange. Although, granted, yeah, the Galadriel-Gandalf romance is weird, but just that speech, that little, like, response from Gandalf, It's so beautiful, it's so wholesome, it's very Tolkienian. I love it.
Do not be afraid, Mithrandir.
Okay, so why do Gandalf and Galadriel have this weird kind of like romance thing? Where's that coming from? Galadriel, you're married. What are you doing? And Gandalf? Huh? Again, which idiot decided to get rid of this as the main theme of the trilogy? Like, what are you doing? This is the Hobbit theme. Not concerning Hobbits, you know what I mean? Like, this is the Hobbit trilogy theme. Why did you get rid of it? Right, the one scene that I would cut out from this is the big stone giant action sequence because it kind of is pointless. What is the point of this? Like, I get it, Thorin needs to save Bilbo, but we've seen him do that prior. Like, we don't need it in this part of the film. Like, we get it. Not to mention, it's just too big and too bombastic of an action sequence. Like, it's really hyper-realistic. The suspension of disbelief is just a bit too much in this scene. I mean, to be fair, that's with a lot of the action in the Hobbit trilogy. But also, in the books, there is no big stone giant set piece. It's like, oh, guys, let's just go take refuge because the stone giants are fighting. Like, you could cut this scene before the giants start fighting. Like, just them going, oh my god, what's going on here? Let's just take shelter. Because bear in mind, this film's like 2 hours and 50 minutes long. Like, yeah, you can trim it. Okay, how did Bilbo survive that fall? What's going on here, Jackson? That's just... What? Like, Aragorn's fallen 2 towers, I can suspend my disbelief a bit. But that? He literally, like, grabbed off the rope and then swung and then hit a bunch of rocks on the way down. What?
We found him on the front porch.
Well, don't just stand there. Search them.
Found him on the front porch. To be fair, that is like a quirk of fantasy that I love. Like, you see it in Witcher 3, you see it in Peter Jackson's Middle-earth films. Like, the kind of, like, sniveling little, oi, what you doing? I love that. I love that as a trope of fantasy. That like, kind of grubby, grungy little, like... kind of like a side character, like, oh, what you doing? It has to be in like the top 10 best fantasy quirks or tropes. Like, it's so good.
Azog the Defiler was destroyed. He was slain in battle long ago.
So you think his defiling days are done, do you?
Yes, they should be. Why is Azog in this trilogy? Stop! Small girl. Small girl. Yeah. For all of you that don't know, I love Gollum. I think Gollum is the best character in the Tolkien mythology. I love him so much. I love Andy Serkis' portrayal of Gollum. Every time Gollum appears on screen, yes. Yeah. Do you know what's my biggest nitpick of this entire film? It's the fact that Bilbo is not wearing the same thing he was wearing in the prologue to Fellowship of the Ring, and it really bugs me because it's like, Jackson, you directed the same films. Like, how did you mess that up continuity-wise? But then also, I love Bilbo's outfit in this film, so I wouldn't, like, have him change it, but just... He's supposed to be wearing blue, not, you know, maroon.
Too many bones is precious. Blesses and splashes, precious. That's a meaty mouthful. Blesses and splashes, precious. That's a meaty mouthful.
Look, as much as I've dissed on the orc CGI in this film, Gollum is spectacular. Phenomenal. He is so photoreal. You can't convince me that Gollum is not real in this film. That's a real Gollum creature they found. That is not CGI. It looks incredible. Andy Serkis' performance is so real. Just, Gollum is real. I don't care what you say.
Gollum.
Riddles in the Dark is easily the best sequence of this entire film. You know what? The entire trilogy. It is phenomenal. It is perfectly well done. It is the book brought to screen, even more so than the good morning scene between Bilbo and Gandalf. This scene is perfect. No notes, it's phenomenal.
Teeth. Teeth. us a chance, precious. Give us a chance.
Do I need to make a constipation joke? Nah, the internet's already done it for me. I don't have to do that.
Is it tasty? Is it scrumptious? Is it crunchy? Is it tasty? Is it scrumptious? Is it crunchy?
My friend Darren does the Gollum facial expressions better than I do. I do the voice better, but he does the mannerisms better than I can. I think that's also why I love Gollum too. Me and my best friend Darren, we have such a special connection with Gollum. Like, it's like one of the things that like bonds us together. Love Gollum. Thank you, Gollum. Mwah. Love you too, Darren. Mwah.
Ask us. Ask us. What's it got in its nasty little pocket, sis?
You die. I do like they at least like acknowledge the Goblin Town song. I think in the extended edition, which I have not seen, I haven't seen any of the extended editions for the Hobbit trilogy, but I do know that they sing a version of Goblin Town, but it's not the same lyrics from the book.
Take up arms. Fight!
It's so good when Gandalf just shouts, "Take up arms, fight, fight!" Dun, 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 dun. Mwah, mwah. Fantastic. This movie is great. Pity. It was pity that stayed Bilbo's hand. I think Jackson realized this scene perfectly. Also, why does Gollum look kind of cute here? Like,
What, precious? Ah!
I know you doubt me. I know you always have. And you're right, I often think of Bag End. That's why I came back, because you don't have one. A home. It was taken from you, but I will help you take it back if I can.
That's why Bilbo Baggins is a fucking legend! Again, that's why Bilbo Baggins is the best Hobbit. He's awesome. He's a legend. Yes!
Out of the frying pan. And into the fire.
Oh, it's the name of the chapter from the book. I like it when Jackson's writing team do that. They do that like all the time in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, so it's nice to see it here in the Hobbit trilogy as well. Again, why is Azog here? What is the point? He's not supposed to be here. Just make Azog Bolg. And this is no slight on Manu Bennett's performance. Just have Manu Bennett play Bolg. Why is the character Azog? Okay, look. This is where the film falls into the key jangling member berries nostalgia bait, because why is Thorin facing off against Azog and the Nazgul theme is playing? What? The Nazgul aren't even in this film. The Nazgul aren't even in this scene. What are we doing here, Jackson? Howard Shore, what are we doing? Huh? This is why Bilbo Baggins is a fucking legend. I also think the film does a really wonderful job of not only showing Bilbo's progression as a character, but also Bilbo Baggins' heroism. I think it's a really nice arc that we see throughout the film of Bilbo being the kind of like tedious, I don't want to do this, and then we see him grow and he's accepted the adventure and he's like willing to help the dwarves take back Erebor, but also he is brave. He is there. He's found his courage. He's going to defend Thorin. He's going to defend his company. He loves them. It's such a good character arc. It's great. The eagles are coming! But, why didn't the eagles just fly them all the way to Erebor? I'm joking. I know the reason why they don't fly them all the way to Erebor is because of Smaug, but also I'm just making a joke because of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Everyone's like, why don't the eagles fly the rings and water? I'm joking.
Did I not say that you would be a burden? That you would not survive in the wild? That you had no place amongst us? I have never been so wrong in all my life.
Yeah, so good. I love it. I love Thorin and Bilbo's friendship and their connection and how they finally come together at the end of this film. It's really well earned. It's really well deserved. It's really well directed. They build it up really well. The only thing is that I don't think you need Thorin saving Bilbo during the Stone Giant scene, because you don't need that to be an action set piece. He's saved and defended Bilbo countless times throughout the film, like, we don't need it. We don't need the Stone Giant thing, but even still, this is a fantastic payoff. I think the Smaug teaser to end the film is really good. It's really cool. Then the thing is that I swear in the book, Smaug has like been fast asleep for ages, so What's he doing here? He's just woken up, but no one was there. And... Huh? But then again, doesn't, like, Smaug go out to hunt, like, nightly or something, so, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Also, this version of Misty Mountains Call that plays during the credits slaps. It's so good. We lay under the misty mountains cold till we get a long forgotten goal. Far away from misty mountains cold. So that was The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, and I love this film. I think it's so good. I think it's such a good representation of the Hobbit book. Yes, there's some silly things in it here and there, and overall The Hobbit should not be a trilogy, it should be the planned duology that Jackson wanted to do. This is easily the strongest Hobbit film. It's just so wonderful and just so... I love it. Like, yes, I will complain about the CGI or the digital look and stuff, but at the end of the day, as a film, it's fantastic. I think it's brilliantly well directed. I love the cast. Martin Freeman is an absolute legend as Bilbo Baggins. Ian McKellen as Gandalf the Grey. Mwah. The dwarf cast. Mwah. Everyone is great. Andy Serkis, mwah, who also was the second unit director. Fantastic. I love this movie. Join me in the future as I cover The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, and why I think it's a weaker film, but it's still relatively entertaining. I still quite like it. But just know that in that commentary, I will not be nearly as favourable as I am on this film, because this film I think is genuinely great. And again, controversially, I like it more than The Two Towers. But those are my thoughts on The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey. I think it is incredibly underrated. It's so good. But what do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on social media, all that good stuff. Until we meet again, see you guys next time.